When I first found out what a gimbal was, it actually blew me away. I couldn't believe how smooth the shots were, and I was really excited to try it out myself. But then I saw a lot of YouTubers saying they don't really like gimbals that much, even though they still use them, and I thought, I wonder why. Why do people not like gimbals, even though they probably get you the best shots that you can get? Silky smooth, amazing shots. And then I got my hands on the DJI RSC2. I just couldn't wait to use it. I was so excited when it came in the post, and I loved absolutely all the silky smooth shots that I was getting. They looked absolutely amazing. But then I understood. It took some time, but I get why some people don't like gimbals. This is my love-hate relationship with the DJI RSC2. So let's just say I'm reviewing this product on its own. I'm not going to include any of the Pro Combo accessories, because if you buy this thing at its cheapest price, all you're going to get is the DJI RSC2 and then the wires and that to go with it. You're not going to get the Raven Eye, and you're not going to get the focus motor. So this review is basically on if you're going to buy the DJI RSC2 on its own. The smooth stabilization footage you get from this gimbal is absolutely mind-blowing. You can get some real awesome smooth and silky shots. The way to get it to work, you have to calibrate it first. So you have to hold the M button and then the back button here. You hold that together and it calibrates like it's doing now. You have to do that every single time you want to use it, otherwise it's just going to mess up and then start going crazy. There's so many different options you can use on this. So if you use this joystick here, look, you can tilt up, you can tilt down, you can look left, you can look to the right, honestly, and you can change the mode. So at the minute, it's on 25 speed for mine, and it's really slow and cinematic. But you can also have different functions, so you can have different menu options. So you have 3 custom menu options. You've got menu option 1, and this is called a press forward mode. So when you push forward, that's how you get your push forward shots. And then if I press mode again, I've got my portrait mode. So as you can see now, this is where the camera would be pointing out. And then if I press it one more time, I'm in FPV mode. So it's going to basically try and gimmick what an FPV drone does. Basically, look how fast that it actually makes it go. Look, it's super quick compared to earlier. So this is how you can get them super fast shots instead of the more cinematic slow shots. I'm going to be showing some of the shots over the top now, what I have got with this gimbal, and you're just going to see how silky smooth it is, especially if you pair it with high frame rates such as 60 and 120 FPS. You can get some real slow motion smooth footage from this gimbal, and it just makes everything just look so good, honestly. Another great thing about this gimbal is normally if you want to get like a low angle shot, obviously normally where you hold a gimbal is like this, and if you want to get a low angle shot, it's kind of awkward, so you got to like proper put it down on your arm like that, and you can actually start hurting your back, and it's really awkward to hold. But the great thing about the DJI RSC2 is that they think of everything really, DJI. So what you do, you get this little toggle here, and then you undo it, and then you pull down on it so it's like that. And then you actually take off the tripod holder. Just above there, in there, is a little hole. And that's where you put the tripod holder now. So when you are going through, you're holding it in like a briefcase mode. So instead of really hurting your back and arching over, it's really easy to get your low down shots just by holding it up here in briefcase mode. And it takes so much stress off your arms and your back. So that's a really more comfortable way if you want to get them low angle shots. Great job, DJI, well done. Now while it's in this position now, I might as well talk about the size. Look how much this actually folds down and compacts together. It's really, really small, and it's actually really compact as well. So you can actually take it a lot of places with you. All I've got to do is remove this quick release plate. And now this setup here fits right into my camera bag. Absolutely no problems when I got the quick release plate out. And that's actually really handy for me, because before I had to put it on the outside of my bag. Now I've got the new Lowepro 450. If you want to check that review out, I'm going to link it up here. When I compact it down to this size, it fits in there absolutely no problem, and I can take it more places with me. So from now on, I will actually be taking this gimbal around with me a lot more than I used to. Now there's so many different modes that you can actually use with this gimbal, and it's actually super easy to access them all. So basically, you've obviously got your normal shot where you're shooting in front of you, and then you've also got, like I mentioned earlier, if you double tap the menu button, you've got a vertical mode, and then if you triple tap the back button here, it turns into vlog mode. So if you actually really do want to vlog or film yourself with this gimbal, you can just by pressing that button 3 times. And then also to get back, you just press it twice. Now just above that button here, you've got your wheel to navigate all the different menus. So once you've actually plugged in the camera to the gimbal, you can press the record button to obviously start your recording. You can also change it as well into the menu. You can either change it from the menu in here with this dial here, and then you can go back as well to access the different menus, and that's an actual button as well, so you can click on the other menus. You can also link up to the camera to change the aperture, the shutter speed, ISO, anything you really want really, as well as the focusing mode, but obviously I'm not going to be talking about that today because that comes with the Pro Combo Edition. But basically, if you want to make this back focus wheel your aperture, then you can. So you can change the exposure of the scene without touching any of the camera. You can literally just use this focus wheel now, and this is actually really silky and smooth and real high quality to turn. So that's actually really well done on DJI's part. But overall, the build quality of this gimbal is actually super well made, and they put a lot of care into it and a lot of thought as well, while having the battery as the grip as well, so it compacts down even more. And just everything about it, there's so many different ways you can like change around. Like I mentioned earlier, if you move the tripod into the briefcase mode, you can also get different accessories and put them on here to have another arm here and another arm on the other side, so you can hold it like that. So they really have thought of everything with this gimbal. And also you can download the DJI Ronin app, and with this you can also again access every single mode that you can do. You can change all the modes, do a balance test with it, you can do everything with this really. You can change all the speeds of it as well, so you can change the tilting speed, you can change the roll, the pan speed. You can really change so many things with the app. You can wake up the gimbal, so it's going to come to awake now. I don't know why it's up here though. I don't know what's going on there. There we go, back to normal now. And there's also this other cool feature. If you go on create, you can make it a virtual joystick. So if you click on the virtual joystick now, I'm controlling the gimbal using the virtual joystick on my app, which is really helpful as well. You've got all these other like modes that you can access on here. So you've got a time-lapse mode, you've got a track mode, you've got panorama, and probably the coolest one is called gaming controller. So you can actually connect a PS4 or Xbox gaming controller to the app and control it using your controller. So that's actually really crazy. I've not actually used that yet. But then this other one called Forced Mobile as well. So what you do, you enable the Forced Mobile, and yeah, everywhere I aim, once you get the hang of it, it follows my movement of the phone. So if you get, I mean, it's just gone to sleep now, but that's one of the annoying things about the gimbal. It's probably because there's no camera on it, but basically you can control the gimbal all from your phone. And if you actually learn and get the precise movements on point, you can actually get some real cinematic and smooth shots with this phone if you really go smooth and slightly with it. That app is actually really helpful. The max payload of this gimbal is actually really good, surprisingly, for the size. I can fit on a Canon EOS R with a battery grip and RF 35mm. I can fit the 24-105 on with the battery grip as well. I've not tried it with the 7200 EF version because that thing is an absolute beast, and I don't think that's going to handle it at all. Even with the lens support on it, I'm not going to try it with that just in case anything breaks or messes up. Obviously, if you want the real like RF 51.2 with a R5, for example, then that's probably going to be a lot heavier than a 35mm. So that's probably when you're going to have to upgrade to the DJI RSC2 to handle that extra payload on there as well. The battery life's also really good. I mean, I can't even remember the last time I charged this, to be honest, and it's on like 64%. So the battery life's good, but that also could be a reason because I don't use it much. I do use it now and again for like to film product videos and B-roll for my YouTube videos, but apart from that, I don't really use it a ton. And then that really leads me on to the next section about the things that I don't like about it. When people say they're not the biggest fan of gimbals, I now understand why, because it is such a pain to balance it. So basically what you have to do, you've got these little locks on here. So normally you lock one, you lock the other. Only the tilt axis that you have to balance. So basically what you do, you put your camera in there, you balance it all out, and then you lift it up here. You balance this part out, and then once that's done, you lock it into place, and then you lock that into place, and then you move on to the next one and you balance this, so on and so on. The first few times I'm doing it, when you first get it, it's fine because you're learning how to do it, so it's going to take some time to learn and stuff like that and trying to get it done quick. But when you keep using it and you know how to do it, and you have to change lenses and stuff like that, it can be such a pain. And if you're using, just say if I'm using a 35mm and then I want to change the 24-105, then I've got to rebalance it again. And it's not just as simple as rebalancing it. Basically, you undo one and then you move it a bit to the left and then it goes down, and then you move it a bit to the right to balance it and it goes back the other way, and then you move it back. And honestly, you have to get it to the millimeter, otherwise it's going to fall over or the app's going to tell you that it's not balanced properly. So when you think you've balanced everything, you go on the app and you do a balance test. And then once the balance test has been done, you get a message on your phone saying if the balance is excellent or needs rebalancing. And a lot of the time, if it's not to the millimeter, it's going to say it's unbalanced. And that's just so annoying and drives me crazy. The time it probably takes to set up DJI RSC2, I could have probably got so many of the shots that I wanted to do anyway handheld honestly, the stuff that can get done in that time, especially if it starts saying it's unbalanced and then you've got to calibrate it again, because every time you do it, you've got to calibrate it after, otherwise it starts going crazy, as you've probably seen in this video already. It just starts making so many different noises and it just starts shaking. It looks like it's going to explode, and it really does drive me crazy. And sometimes I think, is it even worth it to get it out just to do a little shot when I could just do it handheld anyway and probably have it done in just as quick time? But probably the best feature that this gimbal has to offer, honestly, is probably the quick release plate, because if it wasn't for this, I would have probably sold this lens a long time ago, and I probably wouldn't even be doing this review right now, because if it wasn't for this, I honestly don't think I'll be able to handle it. It will probably be driving me insane. So basically how it works is, once you've got the camera on here, you slide it in. Once you've locked it in place, that's all balanced, all done. So once you get in your shots and you want to get like a nice little panning shot over here and stuff like that, for example, but then you want to get some photos, well, instead of like undoing it all and then having to rebalance it all over again, the most genius thing DJI have actually thought of is having a quick release plate. So there's a little button behind here, you press it, you unlock it, and then you pull the quick release plate out, and then this is going to be the thing that attaches to your camera. So everything is still balanced the way it was, and next time you want to use it, all you got to do is flick it in and lock it in, and it's all balanced again. You don't have to balance it. And honestly, if it wasn't for that reason, I probably wouldn't have this, to be honest. And it's also really good if you want to change the battery, because obviously some battery doors are on the bottom, or if you're using a battery grip, it's on the side. But if you're using it without the battery grip, for example, you'll have to normally just take it all off. But with this quick release plate, you can quickly get it off, change the battery and put it back on. Also, what's the best thing about this quick release plate is, if I'm done for the day and pack up and everything, make sure everything's still balanced in place. Don't move any of these locking wheels. Pack it all away, come back tomorrow. If I'm using the same lens, all I got to do is take it all out, calibrate it, put my camera onto the switch plate in there, and then bang, it's already balanced the next day. And that is the one thing I love about this gimbal, is that quick release plate. So if you're only ever going to use one camera and one lens, then unless you accidentally move it, then you never really have to rebalance this ever again, because all you got to do is calibrate it, because it knows the balancing for that one lens and one camera is already done, and all you got to do is keep switching it out all the time. It's when you have to change lenses and stuff like that, and different cameras which have different weights and stuff like that, that's when you're gonna have to start rebalancing it. So if you are out on a project and you want to use multiple lenses, that's when this starts to become a headache, because you're gonna have to keep rebalancing it, because different lenses weigh differently. I'm gonna show you this clip now, but because I got the DJI on its own and not got the Pro Combo kit, I didn't get the focus motor. So a lot of the time at the minute I'm using autofocus, and yeah, autofocus on these cameras are really good, but compared to manual focus, it's nothing really. Like, it's so annoying the amount of times it goes out of focus, and if you want to like do a push-in shot, it's nowhere near going to track the focus as well as it does if you're going to be manually focusing. And it really does make you keep on doing the same shot over and over again to try and get the autofocus to work. And that's actually the reason why I've been looking to buy the focus motor separately. Another really annoying thing about this DJI RSC2, you've probably seen me doing it throughout this video already, but I know there's no camera on it, but all it wants you to do is calibrate it. Yes, okay, it will make it function better and stuff like that, but I swear it always needs calibrating. There's always something going on, like a noise it's making or something. It's going to start shaking, a beeping sound, and I've just got to calibrate it all the time. Every single time I turn it off and turn it back on again. You've always got to calibrate it, and if you don't, it's just going to start making noises. And if you're actually using the audio from the mic, you're going to start hearing a beeping noise, and it just gets really annoying. Sometimes using the gimbal just isn't worth it, and honestly I found that out the hard way, because it is super annoying. But then I go back and have a look at some of the shots that I have got on with this gimbal, and it just takes my breath away again, because it is just so good. So it's, on one hand, it's such a pain to do it, but on the other hand, it's like, overall, is it worth it? Because the shots you get are just generally so good and professional. Nothing's ever easy in life, and doing all this rebalancing to get different lens shots and all stuff like that, it all comes down to how much do you want probably the best of the best shot. But sometimes you don't always need the best of the best shot. Sometimes you need a handheld shot, sometimes you just need a tripod shot. And at the end of the day, not every single shot needs to be used on a gimbal. Some of them shots honestly wouldn't be possible without this gimbal, and a lot of the time that's why I've just been sticking to the one lens for this gimbal. Basically, like I mentioned earlier, I balance it to hold the Canon EOS R and the RF 35mm, and that's just basically what I use all the time with this now. I just use that lens because of the quick release plate. I don't have to keep changing lenses all the time and rebalancing it. I just balance it with the RF35mm, and every time I want to use my gimbal, I stick it on, calibrate it, and off I go. Right now, so let's talk about the price. At the minute, it's currently coming in at about £389. Obviously, you can get it cheaper used, but that's it standalone, which is a lot less. It's probably about £200 less than its older brother, the DJI RS2, and there is a lot of differences between the two. Like I said earlier, the max payload. So if you want the best of the best lenses and the best of the best cameras, then this won't be able to hold that. So you will have to get the older brother, the RS2. If you learn how to use it and you know what you're doing, you can get some real top quality professional shots with this gimbal. And I'd say the best times you're going to probably use this and get your money's worth is obviously probably on paid freelance jobs such as adverts for people and stuff like that, because it's going to pay for itself very quickly. But basically, at the end of the day, you decide if it's worth it or not. You have to use gimbals at the right time. Sometimes you don't need a gimbal shot. So for example, if you want the audience to actually feel immersed and feel like you're there into the shot itself, sometimes a handheld shot and shaky footage might be a little bit better. But if you want a proper cinematic, smooth shots, then obviously this is when you're going to need the DJI RSC2 or just any gimbal in general. Sometimes a gimbal's needed, and a lot of the time gimbals are not needed. Really, it all comes down to your style and how you want to shoot the project that you're filming. If you did enjoy, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a video in the future. And if you did enjoy it, why not hit that like button? And while you're here, you might enjoy this review as well that I've done on the Low Pro Tactic 452. And I'll see you guys on the next video. I'll see you later.